Peace and grand rising to the air. Today is January the 13th, 2021 on the Greco-Roman calendar, 1441 on the Sovereign, Original, Indigenous, Natural, Divine Moon calendar, and 5781 on the ancient Jewish calendar as well, 5781. Islam. So the first thing I wanted to share with you is that we're just coming out of the week of our Prophet Noble Drew Ali's solar return, and it has been magnificent from a cosmological standpoint. The cosmos is affirming all that we are doing, and that is actually how those occupiers know where we are in the process of our grand rising and our great awakening. They have telescopes and things like that, and you've heard of some of those telescopes, the Leonardo one and the Lucifer telescope, etc. You've heard of those apparatus that they use. They look up into the cosmos, and whatever the cosmos says is going on with us, they know what to do next. So we don't even have to talk to them about where we are and what we're doing and all of that. They can look in the cosmos and see. This past weekend, on the 9th and 10th, there was a triple conjunction that we mentioned in our last call, and that was of Saturn, Jupiter, and Mercury. And please do the research and the study on those three planetary bodies, Jupiter being the largest one. Saturn stands for everything from communication to prosperity to work, and then Mercury. We know that whenever Mercury is in retrograde,
did everybody cast their stimulus checks? I bet you cast your.
Is when it goes into retrograde, many of the Moors who are certain signs and who have certain rising and ascending signs go into retrograde, so to speak, too. They step away and into a quiet space, and they isolate because we are directly affected. And actually, can you all hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
Okay. And so Mercury and the planetary bodies have a serious effect. And so this past weekend, they formed a pyramid in the cosmos, those three bodies, on the 9th and the 10th. And they're actually going to stay pretty much in that formation for a while, although they'll be drifting further apart from each other. That just means that the pyramid is getting bigger. And that has denotations for us as well in terms of us standing and governing and continuing to govern the vast estate. So all they have to do is look up there. That's how they knew we were awakening, and that the energies all over the earth were going to cause our ONA to be activated on a massive scale. And, you know, at some point, it scared them so much that they turned those telescopes off, because they, you know, there's a lot coming at them, you know, and they had to prepare for that, for our grand awakening. So speaking of the grand awakening, there are a remnant of us Moors who are, and see, most Moors are highly competent. We know that. Some are still, the rest are still just learning what they're doing. But there are some highly competent, highly talented, highly skilled Moors who have the gift of energy clearing nearly perfected. We talk about energy clearing a lot because that's the only way you learn that's the only way you elevate to the next level. No matter what level you're on, if the energy is constantly being cleared, you're going to be able to hear and see and know what to do to move to the next level. Energy clearing means whenever you're feeling any cognitive dissonance or any discomfort, examine what the discomfort is, whether it be towards one of your brothers and sisters or towards some information or towards the past or towards the present, and clearing that energy. Any negative energies, once they're cleared, we can hear clearly from the ancestral energies what to do next. And when they tell us what to do next, they will cause the information that we see to come alive, and we'll be able to demonstrate more effectively. Without that gift right there, and all Moors have it, as long as it's cultivated, but without that ability being cultivated, you can't move to the next level. So there are some Moors who are highly, highly gifted in energy clearing. And that being said, despite their superior gifts, at this time, it seems that no one really knows about this remnant. The remnant appears to be hidden. This remnant, and it's some of you, your appellations are not widely known or spoken of just yet. You work hard and study every day and night, yet you feel obscure and hidden from public view. Although you work diligently with sovereign sincerity, you, the remnant, might feel like you're at a standstill. And although you embody sincerity and truth, corporate programming is still attempting to usurp your sovereign God consciousness because of the hiddenness and the obscurity. I'm being led by the ancestors to tell you that you're hidden for a reason. And it's a very beautiful reason. You're hidden so that you can get the overstanding and make what you might feel are mistakes. They're not mistakes. They're not errors. But that you can make those under the least amount of scrutiny. For example, when I was detained, when they came and took me and I was detained, nobody really knew who Light Tajiri Bey was at the time. Some people knew, you know, but more people know now. And I'm not saying that everyone knows. I'm just saying more people know now than knew then. And that's not why we do what we do anyway. We're doing what we do because that's what our mother sent us here to do. But nobody really knew. And so I'm able to talk about that proudly without any shame or embarrassment or anything like that. And some are not quite there yet, and some may not feel comfortable talking about what they're going through and being as transparent. But the sooner we're transparent with all that's going on with us, the better, so that by the time the exposure to others is there, and the hidden remnant is out in the open, and the open is actually a good thing, because by the time you, the remnant, are fully exercising all of your super abilities and powers and authority and all of that, it will be like second nature, first nature. And you'll know that you're protected. You will know that the ancestors are there for you no matter what. You will know that they brought you through some things that others may not have known about, but you can talk about them by the time you come from being hidden to fully developing into your purpose. I said that to say that being hidden is a gift, and it's also signaling from the ancestors that at some point you won't be hidden. At some point you're going to need to share everything that you've learned and all that you know, because more are going to need the information. They're going to need it. But right now, it seems as though you're veiled. You put things out there and you may not get a whole bunch of response to it. But that's no reason to stop putting it out there. The reason to keep putting it out there is because at some point, very, very soon, that response is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Much bigger for you, the remnant. Because you have some information through the demonstrations and the things that you're going through right now. Because the things that you're going through right now, some won't understand it. They'll think that they will think that something is wrong, or they will, maybe think that there's something shameful going on, and you may feel like, some shame is going on. But there's nothing to be ashamed of in terms of the testing that's going on with the remnant. Nothing to be ashamed of. And just keep doing what you're doing in terms of putting the information out there and doing the study. I mean, some of the information that I see is so far ahead of, of what's been put out there so far. And some may not realize how far ahead they are. And in fact, I've spoken to some of the remnant, and if you can hear me, if you're a Moorish American national and you hear this message right here, this sharing session right here, then you're the remnant, because this is not for everybody. That's why it's veiled also. It's semi-hidden also. It's semi-hidden, and that's okay. We're okay with that. Because we know what's going on. We know what that is. The ancestors are giving us an opportunity to be able to have things thrown at us so that we can know how to move like the guy in the Matrix. When those arrows and things come our way, we just, we're learning how to do that. We're learning how to do that so that by the time, the exposure comes, it's not a big deal at all.
Come on, Pauline. Did you send your stimulus?
You know what I'm saying?
Pauline?
For example, this right here. that kind of stuff. Like it's no big deal. You can handle it now so that when there are 1 million people looking, it'll be no big deal. And the remnant is learning that now. Each and all of you we're all the remnant. I mean, the things we're saying, the things we're doing. Think about this. In the past, if we had been doing the things we're doing right now, and we were asleep in the service corporation, and a $100 million lien was filed against the corporation, that would have been all over the news, left and right, all over the news, and whoever filed it wouldn't have been able to sleep because they'd have had press outside their door and everything. This that we're doing is even greater than that. But again, we are being protected while we break that whole spell. So that 100 million won't be anything. That won't even faze us. We won't even blink. And a universal response to that, we won't even blink. Because it's par for the course for us. Court actions where we're sentencing corpses to Guantanamo Bay and all of that would have been all over the news and everything in the corporate world. But it's not meant to be there right now. It's not meant to be there right now. It'll be there when it's time. So the things that we're doing, we're being groomed by the ancestral energies to manifest those ancestral energies so that by the time we're not hidden anymore and protected anymore, and we'll always be protected. Let me make that clear. We'll always be protected. It'll just be a bigger, it'll just be a more widely publicized protection. And when that widely publicized protection happens for the remnant, and it may happen one by one in many cases, it's going to be one by one, and in other cases it'll be all of us together. And so as we're being groomed for that, the grooming is a matter of maturity and competence and peacefulness. Because by the time that publishing happens, or the making public of what we're doing happens, we will be speaking the same language, all of us. We'll be unified like we are now. We're unified now. Can that be more? Can we be more unified? Absolutely. But that's always going to be the case. Until we all look the same, and we all look like, like you see one of us and we all look the same, so to speak. But don't let, for example, clicks and likes and views and all of that on social media and, people picking up the phone, talking and all of that. If there's not a lot of that clicking and carrying on going on, don't worry about that. Keep putting the information out there. And then keep perfecting the processes that you're doing and keep perfecting the information that you're putting out there. Keep studying, and going deeper and deeper and deeper in your study, because there is a remnant of us. Now, some say it's 144,000 of us. And that are going to be the foundational, that are the foundational teachers. 144,000 of us. That's not a lot out of 8 billion people on the earth, so they say. 144,000 is, I mean, we probably could get a calculator and do the percentage of what that is. You know, if anybody wants to grab a calculator and divide 144,000 by 8 billion, that'll give you the percentage of that 144,000 is. And I know that those who are listening and can hear this, who know that they're studying and they're clearing energy and they're demonstrating their sovereign status, you know, and sometimes the demonstrations don't turn out the way we want them to turn out. So we have to go back to the drawing board and go back over it again and say, okay, I'm going to do this demonstration again. I'm going to look and see what I can make better about it and do it again. That's happening right now. That's the grooming process. But we put ourselves through the grooming process. So it's nothing that catches us off guard. We put ourselves through the grooming process by our agreement to do the work. Someone asked me the other day, just one moment, because I want to give a synopsis, a brief synopsis of what they asked. And this is not, they're not the only one to ask that question. We've had this question many times before, where they will say something to the effect of, you know, let me just go here. They'll say something like, you know, who's going to do all this governing? Are we going to have a president or a king or a monarch or a mayor, or who's going to appoint them? Are they going to appoint themselves? Will only a few more be making the decisions for the massive more, you know, and things like that? Those who are doing the work, because see, those who are doing the work and the demonstrations are going to be governing, period. They're already governing. We are already governing. That governing piece is done. All we have to do is keep doing it. What is governing? What is it? It is making and enforcing law. Where our own affairs are concerned, which automatically means that when we're governing our own affairs, we're governing this whole estate, because the estate belongs to each one of us in whole and in part. So when someone says, well, who's going to be doing all of that? Are we going to have to vote for them and all of that? I'm not saying that we won't do that. I'm saying that those who are doing what the remnant is doing, studying, demonstrating, doing all that they can, listening to the ancestral energies and all of that, while they're being hidden and being okay with being hidden while they go through all of this. Yes, we're supporting one another, but the feeling of isolation sometimes, because I hear that a lot with new Moors, it's not really isolation, because we're never alone. The ancestors are always with us. They're within us. We are them returned. And not only are we them returned, but we connect with one another on a regular basis all the time. We stay connected. That's what these calls are for. That's what the exchanges, the sovereign exchanges, by phone, by mail, by text, by email. And the remnant that's being groomed right now, you know, sometimes we take some lumps in our grooming. And some consider it lumps. I don't consider it lumps. You know, in 2017, December 10th, when I was detained until January the 4th of 2018, when I first came out, I was thinking, because I was only 5 months old then, I was thinking, did I do the right thing? Is this really what, you know, just for a split second I thought that. And then the ancestor said, well, she didn't get it all quite yet, so let's send another test so she can demonstrate. And they sent another test in the form of 2 war rants that came to the mailbox, talking to some property. And I had to snap out of it and say, okay, I've already done this, so I got to keep going. And I kept going, you know, and I responded and rebutted properly, you know, war rants that were speaking to dead corpses when I'm the living. And then later on followed that up with liens and court actions on those same ones. So not getting a whole bunch of clicks and likes and things like that, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. The time will come. And when that time comes, some might feel like they live in a bubble then, a smaller bubble then, just because they're under such scrutiny. Don't let that overwhelm you when the time comes. When the time comes, just appreciate all that has transpired and all that has inspired and aspired and conspired. Because it's coming. It's coming for each and every one of the remnant that are doing what they're doing right now. How do I know that? Because the energies, it's inevitable. There's still millions of more who have been waiting in their sleep for the remnant, you, who are hearing this, to wake up first, so that when they wake up, they can wake up safely. I mean, if some woke up like some of us did, it would be something else. It'll be something else. But we are able to tell them, okay, this is what I did, and this is a suggestion that I will make to you about whatever it is that you're going through. And I'm finding that the more we demonstrate, the answers to everything that any more could ask is becoming easier and easier to give them a good sovereign response. Whether that response be, and the response is always going to be pointing them in a particular direction that they then walk and go study and demonstrate. But we know what those ways are because we've been able to assist in creating, and, you know, all of us, liens and court actions and all of those processes. And those processes are now going up, 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 up. There's some things coming forward now that we've been waiting for. And it's only because we were willing to do the work in the first place, whether hidden or openly, that we, are able to move forward and then assist those who are just waking up as well. So I'm excited for the remnant because this is, I could not have handwritten a better opportunity for all of us. I couldn't have handwritten one. If someone had said, write out something that you want to be the result of expressing your sovereign nationality, I couldn't have thought of this. I would have said a few things close, but what's coming and what's here now, there's no way I could have fathomed what's on the way right now and what's here now. And those who have those questions that, say, who's going to be doing this and who's going to be doing that, and are we going to vote for them and all of this and that, I'll say this about that also. When we decided, when we first woke up in 2017, me and some of the others who woke up in 2017, and some who had been awake in 2016, etc., and we said we're going to restore, we're going to play a part in restoring the consular court, the consular venue, the sovereign consular venue. No, we didn't. All we did was wake up and see what our nation needed. And if we had waited on someone to vote us into the work, we probably would still be waiting. We probably would still be waiting and probably still would not have a sovereign process on the public record. We'd still be waiting. But we woke up and said, ancestors, what's needed? What's needed? What do we need as Moors on this land in order to be free and to possess the land? Court, our own court. Islam in the chat. And the truth needs no apology. Islam. The truth don't change. That's in the chat. Islam, Justice Nael, and Justice Theodore. No one had to give us the great, grand, poobah situation. They didn't. We couldn't wait on somebody to bring out their golden scepter and tap us on the pineal gland and say, okay, boom, our mother already did that. Your mother already did that. You don't need anybody's approval to express your sovereign status and do what's on your mind and manifest whatever it is you want to manifest for your nation and your government. You should be manifesting something. All of us should be manifesting what's in our hearts. So we didn't wait. And then we didn't wait and wait for someone to approve the lien process and approve the court action. We didn't wait for that. The remnant didn't wait either. And I'm excited because I see things manifesting and brewing from the remnant, and I'm like, okay, let's get it started, get it kicking. The remnant is coming up with things and saying, hey, Moors, we need this. Hey, Moors, we need that. Let's proceed and do it this way and do it that way, and then give some feedback to one another and make this happen. They're not waiting for anybody to tell them anything because they already know they're the remnant and they got to get it started. So those things that are being started right now, Islam in the chat, Justice Yeshua. We don't need permission to be ourselves. Come on now. We don't. We don't. In fact, we permit ourselves to do it. We're the ones who give ourselves the permission. Period. You know, some will be tempted to put a hierarchy in place where they feel like there are protocols. You have to go through us to do this and us to do. No, you do not. No, you don't. It's good to share your ideas with others and put more eyes on what you're doing. Like when we're doing things, we put it out there, and then the Moors give their feedback automatically. Because it's one thing about Moors, they're not shy. They will tell you what they think about what you put out there and how it feels. You can listen to past calls. They will tell you, you know, how they feel about it. And then you fix and tweak and, you know, improve and maneuver and all of that. Yes, Islam in the chat. So, and some may not be able to take when the Moors come on and they're hard on the process. You know, we don't think that this happened, and we don't think that, I don't see it. That's really what we hear, and I don't see it. It's okay. We can take that. We can take the criticism, and we know what to do with constructive criticism, and we know what to do with criticism that's not constructive. You know, we still listen to it. And if they're and pull from it any little granule of something where we can make things better. In the chat, yes. We can't lie, Justice Nael and Justice Theodore. The truth will set you free. Yes, it sure will. That's why we love it. Bring it. You know, but that's what this hidden piece is all about, remnants. Is there are going to be, your processes are going to be improved by your brothers and sisters, seeking their peace, demonstrating it and saying, well, you know, I demonstrated that and, you know, it happened this way and it happened that way and this happened and that happened and the colonizers did this and that and this and that. Let's bring it. Let's bring it. 2.5 years ago, yes, Islam. Got to use that pineal gland to see. The first eye. 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, there were questions that were being thrown at us that I didn't really have a response for because I'm like, okay, I just stood up to do some work. And boy, that social media was lit up with questions on how you going to do this and you can't do that and this and that and this and that. And I'm like, hey, we're going to get it done anyway. And the remnant is like that anyway. We're determined because no matter what, and no one has to cut us a paycheck because we already know we're going to cut our own paycheck. We cutting it right now. We cutting it every time we free ourselves. Every time I don't have to pay or think I was paying a fake court, I done cut myself another check. Every time I realize that I don't have to be afraid of a policy enforcer because I'm the police and we're all the police. I done cut myself another check. Think about how much they were, those amounts that they were putting on those fraudulent documents. All of that. Islam. Empress Portia, she says we don't have to pay for postage. We don't have to pay for postage. How much have we saved ourselves already? How much have we saved ourselves already? Quite a bit. Quite a bit. Quite a bit. When these processes, when we demonstrate these processes, we have, I mean, just think about in postage alone, there have been so many Moors using the postal process, the postage process, that if you just add up the number of the amount of postage in sovereign credits, not to mention the documents that were in them. If you have one document that has a $100 million gold clause in it, and you deposit it into your sovereign post office using a sovereign government prepaid postage process, that's the bank. You've just done a bank exchange, a national, sovereign, universal, Moorish American bank exchange worth at least $100 million in gold. But that's hidden. And when I say hidden, it's just hidden from, the fake media, et cetera, et cetera. It's that. It's hidden from them, not from us, and certainly not from the ancestors. So we just keep doing what we're doing. We had our first, sovereign Moorish American post office runs this past weekend, worth hundreds of millions in gold. And the spell is broken. The spell is broken over our land. We needed to do that. We needed to do that. So with every demonstration that each one of us does, yes, it might seem hidden right now. And the remnant knows that what they're putting out there is earth-shattering and earth-shaking. The information is just all that, because we're realizing who we are and realizing how powerful we are and how wealthy we are beyond our wildest imaginations in our sleep. So don't worry about being hidden. It's actually for our protection. Islam in the chat just to say, we are the all, for sure. We're being hidden for a reason, and that reason is so that we can feel and see and hear the scrutiny and recover from it quickly and in a healthy manner. Some receive scrutiny and, for what they put out there. They take, people come on your post and you've posted something out there and they are trying to hit you hard to make you be quiet. But you just won't be quiet. You just refuse to be quiet. And you're not even mad at them. You respond in a competent manner. In a manner that is energy, where you clear the energy before you respond, and then you respond. And sometimes the law can hit them heavier than any anvil can drop on their heads, like the road runner and how the anvil used to fall down on Wile E. Coyote's head. It's like that. But it's the truth, and you're not trying to hurt anyone, but you're going to put the truth out there, and sometimes the truth does hurt. Islam, Justice Theodore, he said, the ancestors won't let me be quiet. You better know that. They ain't trying to hear that. They are not trying to hear that. They did not give us the information that they've given us for us to sell it or to be quiet. Is to give freely to our brothers and sisters, so that the rest of the 144,000 can, manifest. And the thing is, we don't really even know how many of the 144,000 have manifested already, because there's been some partitions between our communication. There's been algorithms put in the way. We know about those too. There's been some algorithms put in the way. And that's for our safety and protection too, so that we don't lean too heavily on one or the other, and so that we don't give in to the temptation to gravitate towards one and make that one our leader when we really lead ourselves. That's another reason why we're hidden, is so that by the time, and Remnant, you all already know this, that when you start putting out the information that you put out, some will want to make you a leader of them, and they become followers so that they can blame everything on you. When it doesn't work out right, they can say, but you told me to do that. Now I want my fiat back, all of that stuff. See, we by the time the unveiling, the revelation of the remnant happens, the remnant will already know to make it clear that you can't lead sovereigns, that sovereigns lead themselves, and that every bit of information that's shared already belongs to the sovereign. The information that we share is not our information. We don't own it. It belongs to all Moors. And we're not going to commit any atrocities against our own nation by having the audacity to tell someone that this is $200 or $1,500 for this document or $1,200 for that document. That's a no-no. That's a no-no. It's a no-no. Commerce is about to unfold in a major way. It already has as of this week for the heirs. And where commerce is concerned for the heirs, there are no barriers because we're all heirs and we have everything that we need in our sovereign trust. That is about to be revealed as well on just as widely as the lien process. Yes. Ooh, Justice Amos. I got chills with that one. Justice Amos says in the chat, in Scripture, Christ turned the tables on capitalists. You better believe he did. Now, I'm glad you said that, because yesterday I was thinking about this whole thing that's going on where, we're seeing that the colonizers and everyone, they've left. We turned the tables over on the capitalists, and they're leaving the temple. Some of them have boarded up where they were in order to preserve it for us. And all we have to do is properly proclaim it on the public record, and then do a court action and a lien, and then notify that, okay, we're going here. It's good that you said that, because in Luke, the 19th chapter, which is what you're referring to there, where Christ turned the tables on the capitalists, I was just reading it yesterday, Justice Amos. Once he turned the tables on the capitalists, he then went to the temple and started teaching every day. And that's the next step in all of this, where these courthouses and all of these buildings are concerned, and these structures that we need in order to continue governing, that are already ours. But we're going to put sovereign documents on the public record, and we're going to show the sovereign commercial exchange on the public record for those buildings, for those structures. And that process is already complete. We're going to do a video on it in the coming days and show you all of the documents and how we're doing it and all of that in the coming days. And we put those documents up on the last video. Today is January the 13th, 1441. So look back, I think it was the 6th or the 7th, somewhere around there, or maybe even the 10th, where we put those documents up that are necessary for a sovereign exchange to take place on the public record, in rebuttal to all that the fakes put on the record, except we're using real money, gold-backed money from the Treasury, the United States Treasury, in red and all lowercase letters. That's where the money comes from, the gold-backed sovereign money. And then the Moorish sovereign dollarium is the national currency for the Moorish National Republic federal government, and it is one-to-one exchanged for United States dollars in red and all lowercase letters, where the other nations of the earth are concerned. So as we begin to do trade with the other nations of the earth, we can do that trade using our national currency, which is Moorish sovereign dollarium, gold-backed, or we can do it in United States dollars, gold-backed, in red and all lowercase letters from the United States Treasury, which we all are in charge of. So we'll be putting that information and those documents out there. Right now, the judiciaries across the land are doing those demonstrations so that we can perfect them as best we can, and then when the Moors study them, they will add more perfection to them. So that's the next piece, is we put those processes on the public record, and then we go to those places and use them every day. Every day we use them. And as we use them, the increase happens. All of that is telling us, Luke the 19th chapter in the Bibliotelio text tells us how to do that. It even mentions in verse 43 of Luke the 19th chapter how a bank was built around the enemies. And we know we don't really have any enemies because all are subject to the heirs. And subjects are not enemies, they are subjects. But where corpses and corporations are concerned, we've built a bank, a sovereign bank around them. And them and their subsidiaries are thrown down, according to verse 43, Luke the 19th chapter, 43 and 44. They are thrown down, them and their subsidiaries, at the will of the heirs. So we got this. It's a wrap. And we're going to continue to demonstrate our sovereign status. So that's about all that I wanted to share today. Are there any questions about that? The judiciaries have the process already. The consular post heads have the process already that are on the judiciary at this time. They have the process, and we're going to do the processes so that, and then share them and share them and share them some more, so that each of the territories will know the proper way to document and demonstrate our sovereign status, where the structures and the domiciles and the court buildings, etc., are concerned. But then we must be prepared to use those buildings every day. It doesn't really make sense to claim them and then let them lie dormant. We need to be using them, and we know we need them because of the demonstrations that are being done. We have court actions being done on a regular basis. I mean, we have enough court actions to last us about 1,000 years, really, and we could do court actions all day, every day. So we need the courthouse building in order to do that. So we're going to be, you know, it's a wrap. We got it. All we have to do is put it out there and share it. Put it on the public record and then enforce it peacefully. And, you know, this COVID thing is making it easier. We appreciate our ancestors for whatever they're doing through that process. And for those who feel like they're affected by that, we send you much strength and positive energy. Islam. Are there any questions or comments that the sovereign remnant want to add to that? Because the remnant has so much information. Sometimes when I'm doing these sharing sessions, I can almost literally hear the thoughts going through the mind of the heirs, and some won't say what those thoughts are, but I can almost hear them. I can hear the wheels turning. I can feel the energy that some want to say some things because they have some intelligent, highly competent inspirations that come straight from the ancestors. But that's okay. That's what this hidden piece is for, is so that we become comfortable speaking at any time. So that if anyone puts a microphone in, you know, and asks a question, you can just start telling it competently, sharing, erudition, teaching and learning. So, any questions or comments?
Islam. This is Gregory Bay. All I can say is you really truly leave me speechless, and I truly am. And even what I call your adversaries, ones that like to point to the conference calls, even they are laying down their weapons, and they're truly. And I thought one never would. But he is operating in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. He's truly laying down one of his weapons. And this is just confirmation that you must be speaking to him because he must be hearing you. So I say that to say that you leave me speechless. Islam. You know, well, what we've been telling the Moors this whole time, we actually see, that's the thing about the 144,000, is that we have to demonstrate what we're talking about. We can't just be like, you know, when we were asleep, there were people who would say things, you know, some preachers would say things. I'm going to mute you just a moment because there's a little bit of an echo just there's some, you know, sometimes we would go to churches, etc., and I'm not bashing Christians in church. We love them also because they're going to have to declare their nationality too. But we would hear the preacher say things, and, you know, we didn't really see evidence of that in their own lives. But the 144,000, anything we say, we're going to have to prove it. You know, we have to prove, and we're going to have to prove it while that's what this hidden piece is for, is being able to prove what we say even while we're saying it. And so when we do that, the colonizers have to lay down their weapons. They have to. They don't have a choice. There's nothing they can do against that type of ancestral, peaceful ancestral energy. When we take it and just roll with the punches, but that's what we're being groomed for. And some who would be a part of the 144,000 erudition teachers and sharers of information. I consider myself a sharer of information. Not really a teacher, because you can't really teach the heirs, because they already know everything.
It's just a matter of them remembering it and then demonstrating it. So you just affirm what they already know. But the teachers, I mean, the affirmers of the information, we're being some, let me say this too, some who would be a part of that. There's a few who have missed out because when they got tested, they got jaded from the first couple of tests. And in those first couple of tests, they weren't able to clear the energy from that test. I'll give you an example of if I had done that, what that would look like. If when they took me and detained me in 2017, if I would have yielded to the programming that said, you know what, you can't do this, they might throw you in jail for years, blah, 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 blah. Or that doesn't work, because we heard that in the beginning, you know, and occasionally still do. But we know where that comes from too, in most cases. And we're not mad at anybody for that. They need to say what's on their heart so that we can assist. But there are some, had I gotten angry with the ancestors and said, you know what, I didn't deserve to go to jail in 2017. I didn't deserve that. I'm an heir. And somebody should be able to come and get me out of here. Number one, I would have missed the test, which means I would have missed seeing fake judges show fear, which is something I never thought I would see, especially not at 5 months old. I would have missed that if I had said, I guess I better call an attorney. Or if I would have let those fakes cover me, because they tried to put that attorney covering over me, over my sovereign status, but I refused and sent them back to the pit they came from. Had I let them put that covering over me, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today. And then, yeah, I wouldn't have spent 25 days in there. I probably would have got out on bail, quote unquote. And then had to dance with them for 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years over something that was not a crime. Being myself is not a crime. And then I would have missed all that the ancestors have for us. And I don't want to see anyone miss all that the ancestors have for us by being angry and upset at the ancestors or at our brothers and sisters who are here to help and to assist. I could have been, angry at my teachers and saying, y'all didn't tell me this was going to happen. But that wouldn't have profited me anything. And then I wouldn't be sitting here as happy as I am today. And I wouldn't have met many of you. I would not have, and I am telling you right now, I would not trade not a single second of that experience and them coming and knocking on the door looking for a citizen that ain't here for 3 weeks straight. I wouldn't trade any of that for what we have now. I wouldn't trade it. I would not trade that. All that we've been through I wouldn't trade it. Yes. Islam, Justice Nael. I would not trade that. We were scared. But the ancestor said, keep going, daughter. Keep going, daughter. And then they said, keep going, mother. Keep going, mother. To all of us. So, don't let the test make you jaded or upset or angry or, to where you can't clear whatever energy you're feeling about the testing. Don't let that stop you from receiving your inheritance. Don't let that stop you from receiving your inheritance. Don't. Don't let that stop you. Don't let it stop you.
Angela Bay.
Islam, welcome, Empress.
Thank you.
Don't let that stop you, because there's so much more that our ancestors have for us. I mean, they gave me just a glimpse into where we're going. And you don't want to miss it. Yes, it's going to be some work. It is going to be work. But guess what? We don't have to worry about anybody pulling us over and throwing us in a jail cell for years on end for nothing, for being ourselves. We don't want to miss this. Test past whatever it is. Test past it. Take the test. Attorneys can't help you take the test. They can't. So don't allow them to cover you. Don't allow them to cover you. If something happens, just continue to do the personam jurisdiction statement and make it clear. No one speaks for the heirs. No one represents the Moors. We present ourselves. That's it. You'll be so glad you did. You'll be so glad you did. When you look back on that time, you'll be so glad you did. Because that's the way out. If you don't let them cover you then, when you're set free, they still can't cover you. That means they can't claim you. They can't come back and try and attempt to take you. Because they always do when you sign those documents talking about bail and attorneys and all that stuff. That's a contract that they will come back for, looking for their corpse who signed it. Even under threat, duress, and coercion, we cannot do that. It is suggested. That's a suggestion. Can't tell sovereigns what to do. Some sovereigns are going to sign no matter what because they don't want to be in there. They don't like the testing. Just because the programming starts where we don't know when we're going to get out and they won't let me make a phone call and all this and that. Those are spells. Those are spells. Your ability to cast and break spells over your own mind is going to be the part that saves you. Yes, Justice Jezreel, you deny them a way in. See, that's what they're looking for is an open door somewhere. An open door to the sandwich room where they can get some sandwiches off of you. And they don't care what happens to you. They'll let you sit in an old cold cell and feed you garbage just because you refused to stand and say, I don't care how long I'm in here.
Islam Empress.
She said 1 second, so she'll be back shortly.
All right. Islam.
Islam, can you hear me?
Islam, yes.
Islam.
So, I apologize. My phone keeps going out for some reason. So, you know, when you're tested, allow the energy clearing to happen. Please allow the energy clearing to happen. It's so important so that you can move on to the next level. Because it's only because of us. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is. Justice Theodore in the chat says the energy is strong today. Very much so, and it's only going to get stronger. It's only going to get stronger. So when you're tested, let the test happen. Trust that the ancestors have not forgotten you and they will not forget you. I find that tests last longer for those who get stuck in the energy and who don't clear, so that regardless of what happens, they can learn the lesson from that. There are some Moors in the remnant who've had windows broken out in their conveyances. They've been, rough handled, etc., by fake corporate. But what makes them the remnant is that they don't stay stuck on what happened to them so that they miss the lesson that was in there. Because the reason the fakes and the corpses do those types of things, push and shove and carry on, is so that we won't get the lesson that the ancestors want us to see about how powerful we really are. So don't miss the lesson. There's, it's like somebody saying, hey, look over there, when something is happening right here in your ether. Hey, look over there, and then then there's a pickpocket on this side over here looking to steal. It is diversion tactics, yes. So don't miss the lesson. And then this is going to be tough for some. Forgive those corpses who do those things. I know it's going to be tough for some. But when you see what's on the other side of that and why we're being tested this way, you'll know why it's important that we forgive them. Because as this revelation and unfolding continues, we're not even going to remember what they did. It's going to be so awesome. And we may remember what they did, but we're going to be like, if they hadn't done that, I wouldn't be here doing this, experiencing this, inheriting my vast estate. So, I won't go any further with that, but just know that the estate and our inheritance is here. Islam, Justice, Nayel, facts in the chat. Yes, those are facts. Facts. Our estate is here. Our inheritance is here for those who consent to take it. The attitude of gratitude, Justice Theodore. Yes. Yes. If you feel that you're having a hard time getting over anything that happens, it is an ongoing process to just set it aside in your mind and just start with gratitude for where you are right that moment. I'll tell you this, and some may, it's not about feelings and beliefs. You may believe this or not, but when I was in there, many days when I was detained in the cell, I cried because I knew that I was being tested for something greater. So I was actually crying because I was thankful and grateful for the test. And I knew that when the time came, they were going to set me free because I was setting myself free. No one had to come. Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey did not have to come or pick up the phone and call somebody, or he didn't have to do any of that. He didn't have to do any of that. No one had to come and pull me out of there. No one had to do that because the ancestors had something they wanted me to see. And when I saw it, I just had a big old question mark on my face, like, what are they scared of? They're the ones with the guns. What are they scared of? Why are they scared? They got all these guards and all these walls and all these bars and all of this stuff. Why in the world would they be scared? It's just one me with no guns and no nothing, in handcuffs. So I won't go any further with that. I could go all day though, just so you know. But I won't. I'll spare you. I'll spare your ears. But are there any questions or comments or anything about that? Islam, Justice, Nayel, yes. Okay. So we will conclude the call at this point, and we'll pick it back up again tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes, Islam, Empress.
I wanted to do a testament, but maybe I could do it tomorrow on the next meeting. But I wanted to give a quick testament.
Go ahead, Empress. You can do it. Go ahead.
Okay. I spoke a little bit about CPS on the last call, and then and I was telling you that all of a sudden I just found a lot of information and I was able to dissect it. But just a quick testament on it, I was having, this was before I really got to know, fully come into myself. Someone had just was letting me know what was going on. And I was going through a lot of tests at the same time, which included CPS and among other things. And so I ended up in the POW camp for a month.
Just boot camp.
Yes,
boot camp for the Moors.
Boot camp too, as I've already been in the military before then. So, but while I was in there, I was demonstrating at the level that I overstood at that particular time, not understanding that I was contracting all over the place, but I fully was aware of who I was because I'd been studying, through the tests and trials that I was going through. And so I got in there, and they were saying, oh, she's crazy, because I get into the courthouse, and I'm telling the judge, no, that's you, when they were asking my name at that particular time, and this is what I understood, and I was telling him that was him, I was just doing a lot of things, and so then they were saying, well, we need to get her evaluated. So we're going to hold off, and we're going to get her evaluated. And in the meantime, I was cut off from family, off the phones, and all of this. But then I stayed within peace, within people. I would talk to the different ones that were in there, and they would just kept coming to me. I kept trying to be at peace away from them, but they just wanted to come and talk to me and tell me, what was going on with them. And so I went back to had the SAC eval, and there was something that was just different that he asked me. He said, well, do you believe that you have powers? Well, what I instinctually knew is that I did, but at the same time I didn't want to tell him this, and this depending on me getting out, had to do with him, saying that I was not crazy or not, or I'm going to say that I have powers, but I knew that I had, because I've been feeling it, and I knew it, and I was wondering why they were so upset with me prior to this CPS, and this is where it ties into CPS. After they took my grandbabe, they went on a strike, and they were asking for more money. They're all out on the street, smiling and drinking wine. And so I get up. I said, what can I do? I need someone to come with me, because we're going to protest, and this is what's really happening. This is what's really happening. Will you all come? No one wanted to come. So it's like, you go by yourself. If this is what you have to do, you go by yourself. So I just went. I got on the bus. I wrote out got a postcard, not a postcard, a big poster sign, and I started putting down different things of what I wanted to say to them. And they were across the street. I was right across the street from them with this postcard. Not the postcard is a big deal, big drawing board. And I was right there, which was very dangerous. But you're telling stories. We need to put it into an article, all of these things that I was doing there. So every day they were out there. Like the first day I was right across the street from them, but then in the spirit it said, well, go like a block down. And as people are coming through, then you have your sign talking about what they're doing, and then they'll have their little signs talking about, we need more money. And I'm telling you, it's in about 3 days, all of a sudden they were gone. I'm like, where are they? They're supposed to be, striking, and they never did get the money that they wanted. They just called the strike off all of a sudden, because I was down there at two places. They had two places where I domiciled in Ohio, and I was downtown. I was not scared as I seen the lawyer came past. I had my sign. I went in one day and said, let me speak to such and such judge, and he never came out, and everybody was running away. And I'm like, what is going on? Nobody wants to talk to me. So finally, and then I called myself.
I'm laughing because I already know they know you're so powerful. They can't do nothing with them. Why would they want to talk to you? You're going to judge them.
But I didn't know all of it. I just felt it, but I didn't know for sure. But I just know, I'm like, why is you coming talking to me? And then I said, well, my daughter was like, well, Mom, maybe we should get a lawyer. But then when I go talk to a lawyer or try to call to them, they never called back, because I was on habeas corpus, saying things that, oh my goodness, a lawyer now in hindsight, I would know. They were like, oh no, we don't want to have anything to do with her, because I was, no. So after that, I you know, fast forward to now, you know, I had to calm down, and then I was like, okay, Angela, clear the spirit, and I was listening. I was there to listen to your podcast, and that was what was peaceful for me, and that's what I needed, because I needed to truly be who I am. I needed to be. And I'm the type of person I really like to help. If I find a strategy, I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell everybody, listen, you can do this, you know. And so I was led to you, and so I said, you know, Angela, you need to start doing these steps. Start doing these steps, because you know you're not scared like that, so you just go ahead and do, but just go and do it. And so I started with something small, and next thing you know, here come the lawyer, called me back. He's not called me back, but he emailed me, because I emailed them, you know, what I sent them, the link and all of that. And he emailed me back, well, what happens if I don't come? That's what he was asking. So if he was referring to come to court, because I called him in court. And I said, refer to document, and I spelt it. In, you know, ATL, you know, some documentation. And so never heard anything. And so they tried to send me something through FedEx where they're not supposed to know where I domicile at this particular time, but they do. They know everything, you know. I'm not afraid of that anymore, you know. I'm just not afraid of that anymore. So I just let that go, you know. But you know, I really understand just keeping your spirit clear. Then when you go, since we are the government, they are politicians. We are the government. We need to go lean all the way back as far as where it comes from. And just start leaning and not just demonstrating, because that is strength. That is what they're scared of. They do not want us to wake up. We're already awake. Now we have the processes. Do it. Just do it. And just stretch out. You know, they used to talk about in church, stretch out in faith, but it is not even just faith. It is actually beliefs. It turns from faith to belief to knowing. To knowing.
Yes, Islam.
And I digress. I just had to say that. Just even if you want to get into music, be that. Whatever is stopping you from music, because you know I've learned a little bit about the megahertz that they want you to listen to, so that we can't feel spiritually. So we get into there, we just start building around them our own media, our own things, and there are newspapers that they really want to get out the word of what's going on in CPS and coming all the way from the Queen all the way down. And so we need to just go and just whatever. And you know, the new musicians that are coming up, they have a warped sense, but actually they're speaking the same thing. Get into there. Speak to them. Let them know that, yes, it's painful. Yes, you know, we may not be able to communicate good with females and males, but in actuality, we all want the same thing. They're saying the same thing. It's just everything has been turned around, and we can turn it around by just, like, you know, that's what came to me. Just lean as far as you can. Do it. Demonstrate. Don't just talk about it. Just do it. And it might be shaky when you first do it. They know that you're there, that you really are there. And then guess what? The next time you do it, it'll get better, and you get more answers and more answers. Just do not be afraid, because to be afraid is crippling. We don't have to be afraid. We can be at peace. And
thank you, Empress, for that.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. You said something interesting there that I want to put a little bit of emphasis on, so I'm putting it on the screen right now.
All right.
For the many, many, many more who may have been in that situation where they were detained, and they were saying, oh, we need to give them an evaluation. We need to know really what that really means. When they go to evaluate, Okay, when you look at the meaning of that word and the etymology, let me tell you what they're really doing. That's why they asked you what they asked you. Just one moment. Let me put this on the screen here to determine the numerical value. All right. Evaluate. Now, you actually, if you believed in the programming, you would actually be thinking that based on the questions that they asked, that they're the crazy one. When they're asking, do you believe you have magical powers?
Yes.
But what they're really doing, and see, this is something the Moors did not know. When they put Moors on when they say, okay, we need to evaluate this, they're trying to determine your degree in Masonry. To what degree do you know yourself? That's what the mental evaluation really is. That's really what it is.
That's what it was.
They're asking you questions that they already know. For example, when they ask about superpowers, they know we have them, but they don't know whether we know we have them.
Right.
That's why they ask those questions. They're determining, is she a 33rd degree Mason? Is she at that level? Or is she at the level of a 3rd degree Mason? Or is she at the level of a 190 degree or 180 degree Mason? Because see, by the time you start talking about superpowers and all of that stuff, then they already know you're through the roof on your knowledge of self. Yes, we have superpowers. Let's put that out there. Everyone knows that already. We're the only ones who didn't know.
Right.
We have them. Period. Ben had them from birth. And again, that's why we were inoculated at birth. Inoculated. They gave us vaccines to close that pineal gland for a while. Because had we not been inoculated, we would have experienced our superpowers right off the bat. But then people who do, a lot of times they're deemed to be mentally insane and all of that stuff.
Right.
But it's because it's against the status quo. It's against that programming. It's against colonial programming and the animal education system. But now we're waking up and we already know that we don't take their vaccines. And this is going to be the first time en masse in our time where the heirs will be born and not be inoculated. Inoculate means to make it so that you can't see. Because ocular is a word that means to see. In means not. That's why they say they inoculate you with a vaccination. That's what vaccination means, to inoculate. And so now, with so many of us awake and birthing heirs, which I get excited every time somebody says, I'm pregnant. I'm like, yes, another heir that's going to be able to be, they'll be able to see. They're not going to get vaccinated. So they're going to be, and the information is here so that no one will think they're weird when they start talking about seeing things and the things that they see and the things that they're feeling and experiencing and all of that. It's going to be nurtured and groomed and grown and manifested. This is a beautiful time for us, a beautiful time for us. This is so exciting. That's why I'm just so grateful that we've gone through all of the testing that we've gone through. Our tests are but to show us our own super abilities. But that's what our tests are for. to show us our super abilities. And then to make it so that when we wake up and know our abilities, that we're peaceful and benevolent. That's important. That we're peaceful and benevolent. We're too powerful to be warring. That's why the war energy is the first thing that our ancestors put in check with us. If you're warring, they're going to war back, those entities, those corpses. They have actually been put here so that any of us that are warring, they'll just lock you up. They'll throw you in jail until you realize that you don't have to war. Because if we're warring now, when we're just waking up and have not fully realized our super abilities, by the time we realize the super abilities, we will have destroyed the whole earth, and that's not going to happen. The ancestors are not going to let that happen. They're not going to let that happen. They're not. They'll confine us until we stop warring, so that they can give us the rest of our inheritance peacefully. It's not even a fair fight when you're this powerful.
Right.
It's not a fair fight. The subjects don't stand a chance, and they know that. That's what the fear is all about. And you know, we don't need to flex like that. We're just getting started. We're just getting started. We haven't even gotten to the levitating and moving things around with our mind and all of that. Haven't even gotten there yet. Right now, we're just doing demonstrations with documents and resources and things like that. You know, and those are merely exercises in peacefulness and competence, so that we can be introduced to our inheritance. That's why we're going through what we're going through now.
Islam. And while I was going through all of that, one of your segments, one of your podcasts, the Noble, he was having issues with,
yes.
I think he said his spirit, but I was having, because I was so upset and worn. I was messing up the computers and light bulbs blowing out, all the light bulbs. What is going on?
Superpowers.
Popping all over the place. Because I was so all of that, I mean, it was just like it was talking to me. Just, no, nothing was going to go through until I calmed down. It's like, now you're calm now? You're calm? Okay, now you're calm. Now do this little piece. I said, okay.
Yeah.
And then for me to do it, because I like to, someone else can do it. It can't be me. It has to be someone else. You know, maybe you can help me. No, you walk. You do it. You can do it. Let me show you.
Yes.
That is it.
Empress, that's good what you said. The more who are having problems with computers and stuff, see, sometimes they'll say that you know, that the alphabet boys, the CIA, the FBI, whomever, you know, those make-believe, and they're not really, you know, again, subjects. Those are subjects. So they'll say they're stopping me from uploading my documents, and they're stopping me from doing this, and no matter what computer I log on to, it messes up and all of this and that. It's their energy that's messing up the you know, the phones and the computers and the lights and all of that, the cameras and all of that. It's their energy. That comes from within us. All we have to do is calm down. Because in a little while, we'll be able to look at a computer and make it pull up what we want it to pull up. We're doing it already, many of us. That's actually us doing that. I love that part. I love it. That's why the Biblioheliotext put it in a very elementary way, where it says, seek and ye shall find. Well, when we seek peacefully, we're the ones that's going to be putting the information right there for us to see, and we're going to be manifesting it. And Google is putting things out there that Google didn't even know it had, because the Moors are manifesting the information. We're literally writing the information as we manifest it. In the chat, Justice Niall put something really good in the chat. So whenever the heirs have some type of an issue where policy enforcers are involved, Justice Niall put in the chat, that's why they call out more than one policy enforcer. They know we have the ability to move some stuff around, and you know, we can do a lot. We can do a lot. We can do a lot. But see, we didn't know that.
Didn't know.
But the thing is, we're not going to be able to do it if we're doing it out of anger. Our ancestors won't let it manifest there.
Right.
If we're angry and we're trying to prove a point to a policy enforcer, it's not going to work. And that's the only reason they're like that. The policy enforcers do what they do is because they're to contain the energy that where war energy and negativity is concerned with us. But when we're peaceful, they step back. They step back and say, don't bother that one right there, because they're going to manifest some things, and you don't want to be in the way when they do, because it's not about us. You know, that's what policy enforcers will say. Move back, don't bother her. That's a peaceful one right there. They know who they really are. And I'll tell you this from personal experience. When we're peaceful and we demonstrate and they decide that they don't want to do right, they pay a high price for that. And you may not even, the ancestors have been generous in letting us see what happens to them when they don't do right. It ain't pretty. It ain't pretty. It's not pretty. But we have to ensure that, number one, we don't do anything with war energy, and number two, we don't do things where we intend to hurt someone or harm someone, including the subject. Because we gave them a job to do, wake us up, and we waking ourselves up. They don't have the authority to do that. They're just assisting in the process of waking us up, and you know, and then us consenting and agreeing to be competent and free. That's something we do. That's not something they do. They don't have the authority to do any of that. So, Empress, thank you for sharing your testament today. You know, we love hearing testaments anyway, because we already know that, you know, that we have this. Yes. We got it already. And we didn't hear as many testaments in the beginning, but the ancestors knew what they were doing. But now, you know, where 2 or 3 witnesses are gathered, you know, it just takes 2 or 3 to affirm. And we have many, many, many who have affirmed that the things that are being done nationwide and earthwide are what they should be. And to us, that's why we do this. It's so Moors can say, yo, I'm free. I freed myself. I freed myself from this, that, and the third. I freed myself from the energy that held me back. I freed myself from being angry at this person or that person. I freed myself from being detained. Because, you know, we're the only ones who can do that. We free ourselves. No one can free us. We free ourselves by our sovereign word. So, anyway, With that, we will conclude, and we will meet again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine, Moorish, American, Arab, Islam.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Grand rising to the Moors.
Islam.
Grand rising.